And now, right to your host of this House of Musicians, Barry Smith.
Hey, good listener. Welcome to this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101. We hope you enjoy the next hour with us as we do our small part to promote bands, musicians, and venues. Gary Labar, how are you this evening, sir?
I am fine. Trying to stay warm and healthy. Yes.
I'm glad to hear that. Good, Gary. We have Matthew Brannon on the show from Hot Monday. Sorry, did I say that right, Matthew?
Close enough. Hot Monday.
Hot Monday. Okay, I'm going to try to keep that in mind as we go through the show here. Hot Monday. Okay. So, yes, folks, we have Matthew Brannon from a Halifax-based band called Hot Monday. And how you doing there, Matt?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on tonight, or us on. It's just myself. But we really appreciate it, and look forward to chatting about music with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, it's our honor to have you. I just want to ask you first, I guess we'll start off. Are you in Halifax, or are you in the East Coast right now?
Yeah, I'm in Halifax. All the guys we're here in Halifax. Probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. Things are just shutting down here again, but yeah, we're all in this kind of in this neighborhood.
Good for you. And isn't that crazy that everything's shutting down again? That's hopefully they'll be able to keep some shows and stuff going, but it doesn't look very promising at the moment. What's the weather like there in Halifax?
It's cold. I mean, we had a really nice fall, but it's starting to get down into, sort of the -5, -10 area. But, our winters aren't too bad here. We got a couple cold months, and then it starts to warm up again. So must be something on the coast.
Yeah, well, that's good. I know some places down east are just absolutely freezing cold all the time for many months of the season. So that's good that it's kind of milder where you're at. I want to ask you, before we start, I want to ask you how you came up with the name for the band. I've been interested ever since I've been watching your YouTube videos and listening to your music. Very interested to know where you guys came up with the name for the band.
Oh, sure. It's like the stupidest story ever. We were like, when we were an outlaw country band, we went by the name Dead in Reno, which was great for kind of doing the Waylon and Willie stuff. But when we started writing original music, and our music was kind of going in a lot of different directions, we felt we needed, a different name for that kind of part of our music. So, like any band trying to figure it out, we didn't want to be anything that sounded too, I don't know, like trying too hard, or, trying to be too cool. And, we were just like going through stuff. And then one of the guys in our band was looking through this book, and he came across this word he couldn't pronounce. He's like, how do you guys say this? He goes, it looks like Hot Monday. And it was a French word, haut monde, which means like high society. And just him totally butchering that word was just all made us laugh. And we're like, all right, that's the name of the band. So
that's awesome. That's a great story to name a band. Now you guys have band members Matt, Maddie, Trav, and Troy. So let me say that again. Matt with 2 T's, Matt with 1 T, Maddie, Trav, and Troy. How does that go while you guys are yelling out Matt while you're rehearsing and whatnot?
You know what? I don't know. I guess we're used to it. We often go by last names. So and everybody's got nicknames within the band and stuff like that. So it's not too much of a problem, but it's more confusing for people when they're working with us.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. Matthew, I want to ask you who you were influenced by music, how you were influenced by music when you were younger. Did your older brother have an album collection? Did your parents play music? Were they musicians? And not only how were you influenced by music, but who did you grow up listening to?
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody in the band's got kind of a different origin story as it comes to music. For myself, my dad's, a fantastic musician and guitar player, was also in the music business out east here, running a chain of like musical instrument stores. My brother's a fantastic piano player. So I grew up around really good music, really good musicians. So it was always in my orbit, even though I didn't start playing and writing music myself until quite a bit later. But I was always a vintage kid. So, I was never listening, to what my friends were listening to kind of at the time. So, in my early years, I was listening to a lot of Beatles, a lot of Supertramp, Carole King, James Taylor, Stones, Zeppelin, all the great stuff from the 60s and 70s, as well as the 80s, Elton John, Billy Joel. So I just always loved, great melodies, fantastic songwriting, lyrics, and that kind of world. Also always like really great production, like albums that were really well made and had a lot to listen to, even just beyond, the writing, and the musicianship as well. So, so that's kind of where, and I guess the other side of that coin too is my dad's like a heavy jazz and blues player. So I also listened to a lot of that kind of music growing up through him. So had a pretty well-rounded, exposure to music, coming up as a kid. And, I've just sort of always carried that with me, not knowing that I was actually going to end up, really getting involved in music myself as a musician.
Sure, absolutely. And what do you play in the band? What instrument do you play?
I play bass, and I'm the primary lyricist. So those are kind of my two main roles. We all get involved in the actual writing of the songs and the arrangement, things like that. But primarily lyricist as well as play bass.
Yeah, and when did you learn to play bass? How old were you when you started playing bass?
37. Yeah.
Wow, isn't that something, eh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I just like, I don't know, just I was kind of working more of a traditional like kind of corporate job, and reached a point where I just kind of had enough, and I was just like, I just want to play music. So I literally started like working on it every day, all hours of the day, playing catch up and, learning the songwriting craft and all that kind of stuff. And then of course, meeting these guys and getting together with them, just helped drive that forward. So.
Absolutely. And I'm a guitar player myself, but I also am the owner of many basses and love to play bass. I just think bass when it clicks with the drums, when you guys are playing and you click with the drummer, just what a feeling.
It's the best ever. And we're fortunate enough to play with, I think, one of the best drummers in the country. So it's a lot of fun.
I bet it is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm going to say it. I absolutely love playing the bass guitar myself, just the feel of it. And like I say, when you jive with the drummer, it's incredible. So you started playing bass when you were 37. Isn't that something? How did you get the band together or join the band?
Yeah, so we have two primary singers, but the guy who sings most of our songs, Matty Rind, he sent out, he and I knew each other for quite a while, and he sent out a Facebook message basically saying, hey, who wants to start an outlaw country band? And I was like, I would have played in any band at that point. So I was like, well, I'm in. And then I knew these other guys kind of through different sort of parts of my life, and they all kind of jumped on board. And, within, I'd say a few months, we started playing shows, doing all like old school country. So all old Waylon, Willie, that kind of stuff, which is just awesome. We still do it. Like we did, we recorded a Halloween special that we haven't released yet that we're going to put out next year, when we were doing another taping. And, we still have, people asking us to do those shows, and it's so much fun. So we'll still definitely keep doing that, and we'll always incorporate some of those songs into our Hot Monty sets as well.
Good for you, and because like your stuff is not really that hardcore country, so it's a little bit alt country, a little different art rock. But yeah. I grew up on Waylon Jennings too, man. He was like one of my heroes. So it's great to hear that there's bands out there that still, that grew up on that stuff as well.
Yeah, and our lead singer, his dad was a purebred country guy, guitar player, singer. So he just grew up on it. So like when when we sing the Highwayman, he does all four parts, and he does them all like Close Your Eyes, and all those guys are up there. Like he lived that music for so long. But he's also such a wonderfully versatile singer. So when we get into our stuff, he's got a lot of different kind of wonderful voices that he can tap into.
Yeah, that's always fabulous to have a great singer. They're hard to come by, that's for sure.
They are, and we got two. Yeah.
Good for you. And were you guys playing Hot Monday? Were you guys playing before COVID? Like before COVID happened, were you out playing? Doing gigs and whatnot?
Only the country stuff, because we went to Toronto to record the EP in March of 2020, and literally the week we got back, the country shut down. So all of our plans to kind of get out and tour the original music and get that going kind of fell apart. So we took that time to really take our time finishing the EP. And then we had a ton of other material written. So we've actually recorded a 13-track album that'll be coming out early next year as a follow-up. So we've really spent time just creating content and writing music and recording music. So hopefully next year, we've already got some shows booked, but it's still hard to say how this is all going to shake out.
Yeah, it's hard to say at this point what's going to happen for sure. I know you guys are still playing the old country and whatnot. Are you sneaking in originals? I know some bands I've talked to, some artists I've had on the show I talked to, they sneak in originals, but they don't tell anybody it's their song.
Yeah,
you guys do that?
We wouldn't do that when we're doing an Outlaw show, but when we're doing a Hot Monday show, we will definitely put in some of that old school stuff. Probably one song per set, just because they're a lot of fun, and people when they hear it for the first time are always like, "What is that? Where did that come from?" It's such an oddly underappreciated area of music these days that I'm just shocked at how many people don't know about it, and when they hear it for the first time, they love it.
Great. That's great. And to be playing your songs on, it's great practice for the band to be playing them live too. Now, is the band's intentions to eventually, I know you say you're coming out with a 13-song album, you're working on that, and then maybe another album down the road. Are your plans for the Hot Monday show? I'm sorry, man. The Hot Monday. Okay, I know I wrote it down in a different language here so I could get it right. How about I just say HM? Will that work?
Perfect. Whatever you want.
So when you guys are doing your own stuff, down the road, is the intentions to do an outlaw show playing the old country, but when you do your own band's show, it's going to be all original?
Yeah, we'll probably, like I said, when we do the all original stuff, we'll probably mix in some of those kind of songs that we first started recording, performing as a band. Some of the old school Waylon stuff. We have a show coming up in March, for example, and that'll be an original show featuring stuff off the EP and off our next album. But we'll also sprinkle in a couple of those covers as well, just because they're a lot of fun and kind of fit within the set pretty well. So yeah. Like I think we'll always sort of pay homage to that music whenever we get out and play.
I absolutely love it too. I grew up because of my dad. I grew up with Charlie Pride and Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Ronnie Millsaps, man. So much feel into that music. I have friends that are like rock guys and they're like, how do you listen to that crap? But for me, man, there's something about the Nashville, or should I say country musicians, when it comes to the steel parts and the fiddle parts and the bass guitar. George Jones is another dude, but the musicians in country music are just phenomenal. I mean, the feel that comes out of some of the George Jones songs and whatnot. Same with Waylon Jennings is just incredible.
Yeah, they're amazing. Great musicians, great players. They're the real ones, the bands always feel so good in that stuff.
I agree 100%. Now, we have two songs we're going to play. These are your originals, your band's originals. And I want to play one right now for the folks. We'll come back and talk about the song and then promote some of your stuff. How's that sound, Matt?
That sounds great.
Awesome, buddy. Folks, I have Matthew Brannon on the show from Hot Monday. Did I say it right? Monday?
Close enough.
Monday. Okay, I'm sorry, man. It's a little tricky that last word in your title. A little tricky, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, it throws people for a loop. We get Monday a lot, so.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought when I first saw it, but then I didn't see the A, so I thought it was more Monday, but it's Mondi. So did I say it right? Mondi?
Nailed it.
I got it, man. Finally, it only takes me like 20 times to say it. There you go, Matt. Folks, I have Matt Brannon from Hot Monday on the show this evening, and we're going to hear the band song called Pale Amber right here on this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.
Thousand-mile stare, no ticket home. One more sunrise, denying what I know. We hung on for years too long. Kept the truth to myself, so the words came out wrong. She stood at the edge, whispered surrender. The fire we burned to a pale ember. 'Cause I lived on the road while she lived with herself, trying to forget what I don't remember. Time spent away. Baby, where are you? She got low. Had our lives on hold with her in tow. Baby, what are we? Out doing shows, consumed by a dream. Her in a nightmare, couldn't hear her scream. She stood at the edge, whispered surrender, and the fire we burned to a pale ember. 'Cause I lived down the road while she lived with herself,
Hey, welcome back to the show, folks. Excuse me. We have Matthew Brannon on the show from Hot Monday this evening, and we just heard their song "Pale Amber." Matt, killer tune, buddy. Just killer tune. Love the harmonies. I'm trying to figure out what style of music it is. It's just a great song, bud. I again love the harmonies. Love the girl singing the repeat line in the background. Man, tell me all about that song, where it came from, where you recorded it, and who's involved in it. Just a great tune, bud.
Yeah, sure. So the song, we wrote it, the five guys in the band. The lyrics kind of came from the fact that I spent, a good portion of my life on the road, working, traveling, and lost a relationship over it. So that's kind of the inspiration for the lyrics and the story. When we kind of put the music and stuff together, and it became part of the EP, we recorded all of the drums, bass, and most of the guitars in Toronto at Revolution Recording with our producer Michael Philip Voivoda. He's a pretty well-known Canadian producer. He did a lot of the early Bare Naked Ladies stuff, Rio Statics and whatnot. He's a wonderful guy, great producer, great guy to work with. And then we just had like a wonderful cast of characters, friends of ours, play on the record. So Lowell Campbell played drums on it, and he's the drummer of Winter Sleep, and also recently became the touring drummer for Billy Talent. So just a really fantastic drummer. The wonderful harmonies you're hearing is from Claire Copeland, who's a Toronto singer-songwriter, wonderful singer, good friend of ours. So we were really happy to have her join us. And then I saw that you had the interview with Sandy and from the Spoons.
Yeah, Sandy and Gord. Yep.
Yeah. So Rob Pruss, their keys player, actually played all the keyboard parts on this EP. Very cool. So we had just a wonderful collection of musicians play on this, and also Christine Bougie plays all the lap steel stuff you hear on the album. She plays with Bahamas and is a really fabulous player in person. So it was a really good group of folks to make a record with, and we're really happy with how it turned out. And it's definitely one of my favorite songs on the EP.
I think it's awesome, man. And the five of you collaborate to write the song. The five band members collaborate. I'm just curious. That could be sometimes difficult to do. Did you guys just like sit together in a room and come up with it that way, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty much the simplest way to explain it. I mean, I think our greatest strength as a band is our chemistry. We all get along really well. We're all really different, but compatible. So there's not a lot of like guys fighting for the same territory creatively, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the writing process with us has always been pretty easy. We basically look for just like who's got a great idea, and then we take that great idea and we just build upon it until we have something that we all really like, and then we move it into kind of the next phase of a pre-production or recording. So it's the creative process with this group's always been really great so far.
Yeah, it sure has. I mean, the results are just fabulous. Good for you guys. Let me read you a couple of emails here. This one's from Jason R. And Jason says, love the song. Hey, Merry Christmas. Good luck, Matt and band. Stay well.
Thank you. Awesome.
Here's one from Harry S. Harry says, Merry Christmas to you all. Love the show. I will check out Matthew's band.
Thanks, Harry.
So there you go. Again, you guys all, it's pretty cool that you guys are you all songwriters? Matt, Matty, Trav, and Troy, you guys all songwriters?
Yeah, we all
cool.
Participate, I'd say, in the songwriting process. Travis is a really, really strong writer. But everybody, like Matt, our lead singer, is great at writing melodies. Troy and the other Matt are both really strong rhythmic guys, great at coming up with parts stuff like that. So it's a really good collective that way.
Yeah, it sure is. And so, excuse me, let's talk about touring. And have you been, how far away you've been touring? I know you've probably done a lot of gigs in Eastern Canada. I'm just wondering if you've come up to Toronto and whatnot as well.
We will be. I mean, as I mentioned, this EP, basically the bed tracks were done and this country shut down. So we haven't had a chance to tour this music at all. The plan is to get out and tour it next year. We were just in LA shooting a video, and also spent some time in Joshua Tree just recording a few song ideas that we had. So we've got a whole, we don't have a shortage of material, but it's been really tough to get out and actually perform it for people. So we are now booking shows coming this year. We're definitely planning on coming up to Toronto. And hopefully getting across Canada, but also just seeing kind of what opportunities present themselves as the band gets a little bit more, becomes a little more publicly aware.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's tell the folks out there how they can find your stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we're on all the typical digital streaming platforms, so you can find our music there. You can go to our website, hotmondi.com, and download both physical and digital products. So if you want to download the full EP in high-res audio, you can do that. If you want to buy an LP, a 33 or a 45, both available there, as well as CDs. So those are kind of the two main areas I point people towards for accessing our music. And of course the videos on YouTube. So if you want to check out, we have 3 music videos out so far. We have a couple of unplugged performances that we did, and we have another video coming out next month as well. So
yeah, that's great. And you're recording these videos in, I believe you already mentioned this, in the Eastern, down in Halifax, or are you recording them up here?
The videos for the actual official music videos were actually mostly done in California. We have a friend out there who makes movies and is a great producer and director. Wow. So he's a big fan, and he's been a big part of helping us create our kind of our visual stuff, which was definitely a challenge during COVID. So we're happy with kind of the sort of vision we came up with for that, and he's been a guy named Brad Tobler. He's been a wonderful creative supporter of the band.
Yeah, good for you guys. So now you guys all get on a plane and go to California, the whole band, and do the videos?
Now, just the most recent video, we did that because up until then, we obviously couldn't because the borders were closed. Right. So this was the first video we did with him where we're actually in the videos. So all the other videos we did were kind of like mini movies. So we just came up with like cool visual stories to kind of tell the stories of the songs.
Yeah, sure. I'm just getting at the fact that if the whole band gets on a plane and goes to California together to do that, it's got to be super exciting, bud.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. The trip just flew by. Yeah, it was a blast, and going to Joshua Tree out into the desert was a great time as well.
No doubt. Probably very inspiring to write more music as well.
Totally. Yeah.
Good for you. What do you guys have going on now? I know you're working on an album. The last gig you guys did, let's talk about that.
Well, the last gig we did was a taping. So the last thing we did, there's a really great studio here in Halifax called Sonic Temple. It's beautiful. So we basically did a live taping there of our EP plus a couple songs off our new album, which we filmed and recorded, and that's all being mixed and edited now, which we'll be releasing in the new year. And now we are in the process of booking live shows for next year, which everything's pretty much shut down here now. So the only show I think should be on is probably the show we have booked in March at a Halifax place called the Carlton, which anybody who's been here would know music-wise.
Yeah, sure. There you go. It's just great to be out and be playing. I bet you guys are looking forward to doing some more live gigs. That's for sure.
Oh, can't wait.
No kidding. Yeah, well, good for you. It's always it's always inspiring to hear of guys out playing music and working hard at doing it. That's one thing that I've learned in this business from having the artist on the show is a lot of artists we've had on, that's all they do daily is send emails and work really hard at promoting themselves.
That's it. I mean, it's just, it's hustle and grind every day. And, especially it's so competitive now, nobody's just going to roll out the carpet for you. So it's really a matter of just getting into the weeds and just doing the work.
Absolutely. And I often mention on the show how back in the day to learn a song or a lead from a guitar part in a song, we'd have to put the turntable on and lift the album up or slow it down and lift the album up and learn those 3 or 4 notes and then put it back down. But nowadays, geez, you got 8 and 9 and 10-year-old kids who are wizards on the guitar because of how far the technology's come.
100%. I gotta say though, all the old guys though, man, they've all got such great ears, because they didn't really have they didn't have YouTube, they didn't have any of that stuff, and just a lot of the older guys I know, they all have awesome ears.
They sure do, and there's nothing better than having the band that's there actually playing the music. A lot of people are recording these days and using samples and whatnot, but to actually you could tell the difference when you have the guys in the studio playing the music, and that's where my heart is, having the actual live people in the studio playing each and every instrument.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I want to make records, you know what I mean? Like, we want to make records, like that's so much fun. It's so much fun working with great musicians that you wouldn't get a chance to work with otherwise, and having them be part of the creative process, and just having this great family of people make a great old school record, the way records used to be made. And that's something that we really get a charge out of, is that whole process. And that's not to take anything away from people that make their music whatever way they make it, but for
sure.
us, we just love every step of that process that goes into making a record that we're proud of.
Absolutely agreed. I want to ask you about the band again, and when you guys hooked up, obviously you were rehearsing and whatnot, all of you together to come up with set lists, but tell me about the first time you all played live, where it was, how it felt, how it went.
Yeah. So the first time, like I said, we played together, it was all our kind of Outlaw stuff.
Yep.
And it was at a bar here in Halifax, a really cool spot actually called Jenny's. And it was a great night. It was I think it was a fundraiser of some kind, and the place was packed. And we had a seven piece band that night, so it was our five core guys. And a neat thing is actually our lead singer, when we do the Outlaw stuff, often drums. So he drums and sings. He doesn't do that with the original stuff. The original stuff, he's a proper front man. But then we also had keys and pedal steel as well. So yeah, and actually on a side note, I'll send you a couple of MP3s of us covering some of that stuff, and you can check it out.
Cool, live stuff.
It's live off the floor. I think they're rehearsal takes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Love to hear it, man. That's very cool. Let's do this. Let's play another one of your songs. Hot Monday. Let's play another one of your songs, folks. That's the band I have on this evening, Matthew Brannon from Hot Monday, and we're going to listen to Naked Stars, another one of their songs right here on this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.
lying there, staring at the wall. He ain't come home, he ain't bothered to call. Tears falling to the beat of the rain. Let's leave 'em tonight on my horse, Johnny Wayne. Darling, rest your head, let's steal away. Echo in the sunset, kicking up the desert highway. We can live on the ranch until we're old and gray. Every night, dreaming a brand new someday. We'll ride far from here, wander long gone free. Naked stars, sky for you and me. Moving on, astride the Great Plains. Need no rearview mirror, just a horseback rein. Darling, rest your head, let's steal away. Reflecting the sunset, kicking up the desert highway. We can live on the ranch until we're old and gray. Every night, dreaming of a brand new someday.
Hey folks, welcome back to this House Musicians radio show. I'm talking with Matthew Brannon from Hot Mondi this evening's program, and we just heard Hot Mondi's song Naked Stars. Matt, I'm hearing, I know this might sound crazy, I'm hearing some Glenn Campbell in there, I'm hearing some Chris Isaac in there. And I love the transition, how it goes from soft to heavy. Let's talk about that tune for a bit. Great song.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was a super fun song to put together. I love the references that you made there. Those are all artists that we all really like. We also love like some of those old like spaghetti western movies, so you can hear kind of some of those old like Clint Eastwood movies in there, and some of the the theremin and some of the string parts and stuff like that. And a shout out to Drew Jureka, who did all the string arrangements and string playing on that track. And it's just, I think like that song's a really good kind of representation of how we approach music. It's always like we try to like shake things up a bit. So it's got almost kind of like a dance hall beat underneath it in the first half of the song. And then kind of mixed in with some of those old school kind of Western country vibes, sort of that, Chris Isaak. That's a really cool call. And then like kind of the key change and big blowout on the outro, which was super, super fun to play. Actually, this is the first time we haven't actually released this digitally yet. So your listeners will be the first ones to hear the song.
Awesome.
Before it's actually officially released. So I thought it'd be a fun one to do. It's I love Lowell Campbell's drumming on the outro there. He's plays so many incredible fills on that. It's just, the energy's really, really, really fun.
Absolutely great song. Good for you guys. It's good to hear good music, because there's so much stuff that's not that great out there. There is a lot of talented people out there, but it's just great to hear great music. So good for you. Cahoots to the band for that one. Again, the transition from going from soft to hard. I find a lot of songs that have been released, over the years, that have been successful are songs that have gone from being, soft in the beginning into something heavy. I mean, Stairway to Heaven is a classic example, but there's so many others, and it really works well.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can do it like every time, but I think if you've got like a song that has a really nice arc to it and a good story, and like you can tell that story musically, it's always super fun. And some of my favorite songs of all time have those kind of go through those kind of big transitions. And Stairway to Heaven's obviously probably the all-time, heavyweight title holder for that. I totally agree.
What is one of the highlights in your music career, or one of the highlights of Hot Monday's music career? Just curious to know a highlight, something that's happened.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much this will mean to a lot of listeners or yourself. There's a guy out there named Rick Beato, who's got Rick's great. He's got a YouTube channel, millions of followers, and he actually did a couple of reviews of our music that we have videos of that we haven't put out yet. But he really like raved and sung the praises of the music in a really in-depth and thoughtful way. And that was something that meant a lot to us, kind of felt like, okay, like maybe we're on the right track here. We're probably going to end up sharing one or two of those in the new year. But it's one of those things where it's, it was for a long time. Like, we've had those for a while, but it's been more of a, it's something that we've kind of really felt good about internally. But we might end up sharing it at some point, just because it's kind of neat to hear him kind of dissect the songs kind of in the way he does that with songs on his channel and whatnot. So that's meant a lot. But I think and maybe a lot of other guys or girls out there like that play music would agree with this, but I think just doing it, you know what I mean? Like, just making the music, like not talking about it, but getting it done, like writing the songs and figuring out how you're going to make them, record them, and just going through that is, regardless of what happens after that, is a really special feeling. And I think that's something that we're all really proud of. And the fact that we're still continuing to work on it and do it. And, who knows what the future will bring. But, I think making music's the greatest thing in the world.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've probably recorded, which I have online as well, probably about 50 originals online. And I always say the best thing about it is they're always going to be there for the next generation of my family members, grandkids, and great grandkids. The music's, whether they like it or not, it's there. It's always going to be there. So that's one of the beauty things about recording, and especially nowadays with the technology, when you have Spotify and Reverb Nation and hundreds of platforms to play your music on, and I just love the fact that it's going to always be there. That's pretty cool.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a really cool legacy and thing that you can put out into the world, regardless of how big that world ends up being for the music. I think it's a very special thing.
Agreed. Favorite part of the show, I like to ask the artist, kind of put you on the spot a bit, but ask the artist, tell me a crazy story that's happened to you on a plane, on a tour bus, on stage live playing, just something crazy that's happened.
Oh, geez. We haven't been around long enough or toured long enough to really have any crazy band stories. Geez. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd have to.
That's okay. Yeah.
For my own personal, travel stories, I went to Chicago one time and went out and had a few too many, and woke up the next morning in my hotel room, and everything that I had was stolen. Everything was gone. Everything was out of the room. And,
wow.
Or so I thought. I was
in the wrong room. Come on, man.
way better. Wrong hotel. I must have got the cab driver to take me to a totally different Holiday Inn, and somehow had the capacity to check myself in and check into a room, and didn't realize, until I'd already reported all my stuff missing, that I wasn't even in the right part of town. So there you go.
That is probably, out of the 87 shows or whatever I've done, that's probably one of the best stories I've heard. That is just fabulous.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, man.
Yeah. That was not one of my prouder moments, but definitely goes in the archives as both a funny thing to remember and a cautionary tale. Yeah.
No kidding, man. That's amazing. And so, when did you realize that you're in the wrong place? When you walked out of the hotel onto the street, or?
When I went down and actually talked to the front desk, and they were like, well, you checked in here last night and you didn't have anything with you. And then I started putting it together, looking at my, because I traveled so much for work that it wasn't unusual for me to even wake up in a hotel room and not even know what city I was in, just because of how many cities I would do within a short period of time. So, being in a city for such a short, you get really disoriented. So eventually I figured out, I was like, oh my God, I'm not even in the right hotel. So, horribly embarrassing. But something I'll definitely never forget.
I bet not. And I've been known to sleep in fields when I've had a few too many. So at least you ended up in a hotel bed. That's pretty good.
Yeah. My autopilot was working well that night. Yeah.
Absolutely. You made it to a hotel room. That's the main thing for sure. Matthew, what a pleasure to have you on the show. There's a segment of the show I like to do before we go called, well, Gary LeBar, what do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. Well, Matt, I love your stuff. It is hard to put a genre on it, but you know what? Sometimes that's good because, genres are for marketing purposes, but if you're not sure, sometimes that's a good thing for a label, even an independent label, because they can kind of build it up as something new and exciting. So, I just wanted to mention that. But I think the band is tight. Yeah, I love the drum sound, the recording drum sounds. The production on that was really nice. And as Barry was saying, your dynamics in your songs is really nice with your highs and lows. It's good dynamics. I'll tell you one thing, though. The string arrangements was great. The harmonies were excellent. I'll tell you what your band reminds me of, or who it reminds me of. You're the bass player, and I love when you're pedal toning those root notes to a lot of the chord changes. You guys would be the epitome band to tour with U2. Because that's how they started with, all their earlier stuff, Joshua Tree, all that kind of thing. with that nice pounding bass, single note pedal toning root notes. And I see you doing that a lot for the song, and it sounds really good and really tight. And that's kind of who you reminded me of a little bit, is you too. So I wish you the best, man.
Very cool, man. Thanks. And on a cool side note, actually, the room where those drums were recorded at Rev, Neil Peart said that was the best room he ever recorded drums in.
I can believe it.
So good ears.
I can believe it. The ambient of that, even without adding any kind of compression or effects, it was roomy. The snare was tight, had that really good snap to it. The kick drum was good. So I really enjoyed the drum sound. You guys did a great job on that.
Thank you. And obviously, like I said, Lowell Campbell, who's a wonderful player, obviously, made the most of it, because he's a hell of a drummer.
Good show.
Awesome, guys. And again, Matthew, Brannon, thank you so much for being on the show. You guys have a wonderful band going. We wish you the very best. I want to follow your progress. Hopefully things won't get too crazy and you'll be able to get out and gig and keep recording music. And I'll follow your progress, and in a couple of years, get you back on the show and see what you've done. Thank you so much for being here, Matt. It's been our honor.
Thanks so much, guys. I feel the same way, and would love to come back and see you again, when the time's right.
We'll definitely make that happen. Thank you, Matt. And to the listener, I say thank you for being here. Always dance and sing, and let the music bring your soul to the surface for all the world to see. Until next time, have a shuffle your feet kind of week, and good night. You've been listening to this House of Musicians radio show on Reality Radio 101.